All right, welcome everybody. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Get this started. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. Sign up in the back there. If anybody wants to be able to sign up down in there. I don't think we have anybody.
I know we are going to have one person from online, Linda Hamilton, who's going to want to give public comment when it's time for public comment later on. So, yeah.
All right. Okay. On to announcements.
I just wanted to remind you that you do have a board work session on January 9th. And at that meeting is when you're going to receive the updates on the strategic plan. We initially targeted November and December to be those updates, but it seemed like it would be better to just save it for the work session.
Yep.
We won't have so much crammed in there. So that's the only announcement that I have.
That was January 9th,
Yeah, it's
or what, 6th?
6. Yeah.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes. Anybody approve anything odd?
I didn't see anything.
Anybody else?
No, didn't have anything. I mean,
Is that October?
October session. See the motion.
I move that the Jarrett School District Number 1 Board of Directors approves the minutes from October 17th, 2024.
We have a motion.
second.
Second. Any more discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Local contract review.
So Henry, this is the part of the meeting where you're going to.
That we're gonna go out of
Yes,
this
and
meeting.
so this is the direction. They're just like move us out of this meeting into that one.
So, am I reading this whole thing good?
No, just
I'm just saying,
Just
I'm going
yeah.
out of our regular board meeting right now, and then we're gonna go into our local contract review.
yes.
Okay.
So
We're good.
you have Scott Rose, who's here to present the findings of fact, which is included in your board packet. So Scott, if you want to go ahead and come up. It is,
Towards the end when I.
yeah, it starts on the end. It is page. There we go. Scrolling. Page 35.
Well, thank you. I'll try and make this brief, but I am obligated by the public contracting rules to go over the findings of fact, and I want to share that with you. So there are a few acronyms, and I will try and say the word out rather than just using the acronym. So we're going to be talking about alternative contracting method, and you are a public entity, and as such, we have to engage in a publicly approved contracting method. So what is being proposed to the board is a construction manager general contractor, so a CMGC, and you'll hear that referenced a lot. CMGC has been around for about 20 years. Since about 2005, we've seen a lot of volatility in the construction market, a lot. Volatility both in terms of costs and in terms of trade availability, trade people. And as such, this was adopted as an alternative contracting method. And what construction manager general contractor is you are hiring a general contractor before the design is done. You're going through a request for proposal process, just like you did for architects. Well, similar. There are different criteria that you're evaluating them on. Then you pick a general contractor. That general contractor is brought in during the schematic design phase of your projects. And so very early on, if this is approved, it would be brought out by January. And the intention is that they become a collaborative partner with you during the design. They are running cost estimates. They're doing constructability reviews. They are doing investigation on the site to help better inform documents and make sure that you have really a tighter set of documents that also takes into account the market conditions. For instance, if you decided to do the middle school entirely out of masonry, there's very few masons available right now. As an example, they would help guide some of those material choices, some of the systems choices, to make sure that it accommodates to the largest number of tradespeople out there. So it encourages competition to get more people participating. The traditional method has been design it all, then bid it out, and then build it. And you have this sort of this blind date, I'll say, with the bidding, is that whoever's the low bid, that's what you're going to have for the next year and a half to 2 years. In this process, you're developing that partnership early. They still are required to bid out all of the work, all of the subcontractor trades. They bid it out, but they're bidding it out rather than you're bidding it out. And the nice thing about this is that it's also very transparent in that when you do a traditional design, bid, and build, you get a lump sum bid, and that is the bid that you have. In a CMGC process, you get to see everybody that they've solicited bids from for every single trade. And then what happens is once you go through that review process and you pick the bidder, the subcontractors, then the district or RNC for the district will issue letters of authorization. So we may issue 40 letters of authorization for the different subtrades that are awarded. But then you're able to evaluate all of those conditions. So this is allowed in your findings of fact. So this is allowed by Oregon Revised Statutes 279C.335. And in page 1 of your findings of fact, you'll see at least 22 school districts that have engaged in this process. And there's more than that, but 22 are the ones that we've connected with directly. Like I say, it's been utilized since about 2005. ORS 279C.335 requires that we have a public hearing. That's today. Requires that we advertise that at least 14 days prior. That was advertised on the 6th, so that you have that all in place. It was in the Daily Journal of Commerce as well as the Woodford Independent. This would be for all of your construction work, and we are planning to do it in phases. We'll be doing some work in 2025 summer, some in 26 summer, and even the new middle school building to straddle it into the school year. Also given some long lead items, I think I mentioned to this group last time, electrical switchgear is a year out. The nice thing about CMGC is it allows us to bid out things in phases and pre-purchase components. So when the electrical switchgear is designed, we can give it to CMGC and go bid that out to 6 different electricians. And then we get that ordered and get that coming while the rest of the site is still taking place. We've also talked about, in order to make best use of weather windows, is to potentially release the site utility and foundation package ahead of the building package. This allows us to actually start that construction in the nicer weather in the summer and early fall while the building design is being completed. So the CMGC process really allows you to bid that out in phases and in packages. In page 2 of the findings of fact, towards the bottom, responsibilities of the CMGC firm is, as I mentioned, they'll be engaged in the design. They'll be running estimates. They'll be suggesting bid packaging criteria. They'll be doing constructability reviews. They facilitate the bidding process, and in the construction phase, they act very much just as a general contractor would. We will establish with them what we call a GMP, or guaranteed maximum price contract. So they will bid this out to the subcontractors, and it's been informed by their assistants during the design phase, such that they'll establish a GMP and say, okay, the price won't be over X to get to the finish line. Now, of course, if we add scope, then that will be bumped. But assuming we do not add scope, they're obligated to meet that GMP. Findings of fact asks about 13 different questions. You can see that on pages 3 and 4 and 5, and I won't read them verbatim, but primarily we're looking at issues regarding availability of bidders. We want to make sure that you're going to have a bidder that's actually licensed and bonded and able to do the scale and magnitude of the work that you're doing on occupied sites, which is huge. That'll actually be one of the evaluation criteria is, what is your experience working on occupied sites show us an example of safety and security plan so that we're keeping our students, our staff, our visitors safe while you're doing construction. What does that look like? And obviously, we'll all have the opportunity to tailor that from that point to the time we actually start construction. We want to know that they actually are well versed in that. We have better confidence that we're going to hit our budget rather than just hoping on bid day we have a good bid day. We're incorporating them into that process of cost estimating and finding that what we call value engineering early in the design before we actually put it out on the street. You put it out on the street and then you're value engineering, all you're doing is scope cutting, and that doesn't help anybody. And you're typically not getting the value that you should. So the idea is doing that during the design phase. Public benefit is huge because we can dictate to the contractor, yes, you're going to put this out to bid for various subs. We want you to also put it out to this list of subs. So we can incorporate all the locals that we think appropriate for this size. We can say, here's local electricians, plumbers, framers, roofers, etc. We want you to solicit from this list too, aside from, the normal list that you might solicit from. So we're again controlling part of that bidding, and that's going to benefit your local community, which is huge. Again, with a traditional design, bid, and build, it's just a lump sum we get. We have no idea who they solicited from. We get to, with this transparent process, we get to influence that more. I've spoken about cost and value engineering, increase in public safety. That's going to be one of the evaluation criteria before we select somebody. Is to say, you have to show us the safety plans, as I mentioned. And so somebody that's worked, we can actually condition who we select rather than a blind bid where we just hope they understand what they're doing. So we won't even pick a general contractor that hasn't worked on multiple occupied school sites, for instance. That will just be a criteria that they have to meet. This is still going to be a competitive process. This is a technically complex project. I know it may seem like it's straightforward, but it really isn't. We're renovating, 3 different buildings and overlapping that activity, and you're going to have interruptions to system utilities and while you're doing the construction. We've even talked about recently just how we're going to run a new fiber line that we're trying to run. We want to make sure that clears the footprint of the new middle school. So there's all these different components, and having a CMGC that can go on there and suggest to us what that staging and phasing should look like is a valuable partner to have. And then on page 5, again, I've covered a lot of this. I try to kind of, pull it together, but multiple phases is huge with the CMGC. It allows us to bid these out in multiple packages rather than just waiting for all the design to be done. It allows us to accelerate, which has a positive impact on your cost because we will beat inflation in some of those aspects, and we won't have to work an overtime schedule by releasing some of these things earlier, and then the other things in their due time. We're not having to crunch into a smaller window because we are looking at, fingers crossed, to get the entire middle school, both the renovation and the new construction done and open by fall of 26. And so in order to do that, what we're trying to do is make sure the new construction for the new middle school is done no later than, say, the end of June of 26. So they're really focusing on the renovations of the middle school in the summer, and then we're turning over the whole thing with a ribbon cutting and the like, in the fall of 26. So in order to accomplish that, we need to make sure that we're releasing that new construction early enough. So we're already thinking about what that looks like, and fall of 26 is, almost not quite 2 years away, but we have to really think about that, make sure we set ourselves up for success. So with that takes us really to the end, and I would entertain any questions that you have about that.
Makes sense.
100%.
And did we have any public comments? Sometimes contractors come with questions.
Received any requests for public comments?
Okay. All right, with that, the normal process is you would close your local contractor review board and then restart your board meeting, and then action is taken later on in the board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now we're out of our local contract review board and back into our regular session. Moving on.
So you're,
Oh, we got the public. forum.
yep, and I think Mary
And
does.
so we do have one,
Yes, and I'll unmute her, so get it going
so
here.
I have to read this. one.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Hi, Linda, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, my board chair, Henry, needs to read a statement about public comment, and then he'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you.
You.
All right. Public participation in board meeting statements by members of the public should be brief, concise. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, establish a time limit and discussion of oral presentations by a visitor on any topic. Speaker may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear complaints concerning individual school personnel. Chair will direct complaints to the appropriate means of board consideration and disposition of legitimate complaints involving individuals. At this time, members of the public are invited to present their concerns to the board. Hello, Linda.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can't find my camera on the phone, but I'm here. Linda Hamilton, Lane ESD board member at large for 16 districts down here. I'm also on the OSBA board of directors, and I'm calling in for Dr. Jeff Crapper to ask for support for him for the OSBA board of directors. This is his third time being running up for this office, and each time he never get to serve a term. He's had to be run for this twice now and never get a full 2-year term. But he is one of the strongest CTEs for the state of Oregon. And I love what he brings and the work he does for the kids around CTE programs in the state of Oregon. He's wise, and he's a Salem Kaiser, and I'm a product of Salem Kaiser, graduated from Mayor K High School from Louisiana. So I ask that you guys support him to continue his service on the OSBA, that he brings us a wealth of knowledge around CTE. And that is something we are trying to make sure every school districts, including our rural area kids, have access to CTE, career technical education. So please consider him. I appreciate it. And that should be some emails sent out on him. I know Dr. Sato was sending out one from Salem Kaiser School District. Again, thank you for your time and I appreciate your service.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank you.
I think that's it for public comment.
Very
So
good. On the reports.
our students are here. Gabby, say hello, and Lucero. Hi. I couldn't see you behind the pole.
Go for it. Okay, we're here to present the first board meeting report from the Jervis High School. First off, we're gonna start off with some sports. We're gonna say the Jervis football team are moving on to the state semifinals. Since 1951 was the last game that the Jervis Cougars made it to semifinals, and their upcoming game is gonna be on Saturday, the 23rd at 4:30 p.m. at Oakland. And we're also getting a Rooter bus for our students to attend and cheer the team on. And they're celebrating the students by letting them cut in front of the line during lunch.
That's a big thing.
And then also for soccer, the boys soccer season ended off great with a great game at Sisters versus Sisters with a win of 2-0. And then although they didn't have the outcome they wanted this year, they're gonna be looking forward for next season to try to get that league title. Some players got all league awards in 3A, 2A, 1A district, and girls also. No, sorry. Soccer also ended up with some memorable experiences and many new players from Kennedy and Jervis. We hope to see them improve for the following season, as well as some girls got mentioned for all league awards as well in the 3A, 2A, and 1A district.
I heard from the volleyball girls. It was a fun and improving year, and they basically say they're family and love creating memories together. And we had one girl made it to the second team, and 2 girls made it to honorable mention in our overall district second division. And cross country's last meet was at district championship at the Chilean Lake Park, where everyone had a PR. Our coach, Castle, at the banquet had spoke of how improved our team has evolved, and he's very proud of the new members added. Everyone received their first varsity or second year varsity certificates. He passed the cross country awards, which were outstanding and the best or her cross country runner certificates. And then clubs, not football, FFA. Again, there's another FFA meeting tonight, and we are collecting our Hazelnut fundraiser packet. Well, we had sent out the previous October meeting. Its purpose is to raise money to our chapter, and whoever gets the highest will get their state convention payout, pay fully, like staying, not at the meals. We're not. We're just paying 200 for the staying, so like it's like a couple of days. So just basically the hotel seats. Yeah. And we also have a Friendsgiving, so each member is bringing a meal or a dessert, and we'll be celebrating it together. And then National Honor Society blood drive we had was a very successful event. 13 of our 37 donors were donating blood for the first time ever. The crew did amazing helping and setting up and down, and providing snacks or drinks, or even being a blood buddy to the blood donors. Great news, our sign up was one of the strongest drives since 2022. Yearbook, we're planning on attending the a Fall Media Day conference at OSU on December 9th. There'll be a keynote speaker, break sessions, and a photograph competition. As this is our first year going, only Manny Morito will be entering the photo competition. Next year, we hope more participants in the copywriting competition and have our yearbook enter the best of all the West Awards.
And moving on to Águilas de Oro, they had their Dia de los Muertos assembly. It was very successful. The little kids loved it. The club started practicing again on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the upcoming event that's going to be on December 19th for the community winter celebration.
Journalism. They haven't published anything for this month, but are working on publishing their December newsletter. Drama is a new club at our high school, which will be starting soon.
And college and career. This week was application week for seniors. So they had like this whole itinerary for like Monday through Friday, all week. So on Monday they had a Vikings workshop from Portland State University in the library. And then on Tuesday they had a presentation from the IBS School of Cosmetology during advisory, and had an apprenticeship day field trip to Chemekera. And then they also had a finding funds workshop that was held at the high school that same night. On Wednesday, they had a Chemekera Community College senior taking business trip. So that was yesterday. They went to Chemekera once again. And then today they had a Western Oregon Wolfpack workshop for seniors. And tomorrow they will be having the library open for all seniors to fill out their college applications all day. And tutoring and homework help is still every Tuesday and Thursday. And if students need it, they're welcome to always stay after school to get help from the teachers there. And they also offer the transportation if they need it. And that's pretty much it from us today.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Yeah.
Any questions? No?
So what's the FFA Hazelnut Pack?
Like it's a Wilco, like it's we get it through a Wilco site, like from Wilco.
Uh-huh.
And it's a fundraiser. Basically it's a packet, little like a little dish bowl, like a package. It's like, I think it's not cranberry, it's a Marionberry, and then there's milk chocolate, and there's I know it, guys. I know it. It's the one I don't know because I never tried, but I know it. It's like a white chocolate. I can't remember the name off my brain, but I know it. I just like can't. And then there's I think caramel. Yeah.
Is that like a variety pack?
Yeah, it's like a little small like bowl.
And where do we get these from?
You guys actually, I have the packet. Actually, if anyone has $20, I'm still taking it. It starts at 7, so anyone would like to help my FFA chapter and the German chapter.
Yeah.
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 How-
$20.
Yes.
How much is it?
20.
Okay.
Okay.
Bring your sheet in. Here we go.
I'm like,
Go get it.
Yeah, because I'm always looking for like, to send to my,
Yeah.
to my direct reports, I send
yeah, because we
a
just,
packet of Oregon stuff and
yeah.
it's always good too. Yeah.
Yeah, because we just, we don't really need to turn it by today, but we want it. We actually have to get it done tomorrow. But since like for everybody doesn't forget, and we're like, the meeting, guys, please bring it. Because you know a lot of people are going to forget.
Yeah.
It's school, it's a Friday, and it's Thanksgiving. Like,
Do you need it today then?
yeah.
Go get your paper.
I'll get your paper.
We're here for a little while.
Okay. I'll be back.
We can get her. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here.
Do you take debit cards? Are you guys able to do that, or is it just cash and check?
I don't know. Because our advisor didn't say anything. So I feel
Well,
like,
you know what? I bet if you tell her who these people.
yeah,
then
I feel
she
like
might
that's what
say,
like, it's fine. I
"I'll
understand.
return it at $20."
I believe.
I got my cash.
I'm coming back.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
I've already done enough at school. I got chocolates coming up.
Yeah.
All right.
All right,
Okay.
on to the,
On to administrators. now.
Yes.
Who gets the next now?
Yeah. On to Dusty.
I'm sure I can.
Nana, I don't have enough.
I only have 100. I haven't checked that.
Therapy's not anymore.
You just never know.
Yeah, see?
You want the.
When you want to have a checkbook right now?
You never know.
She's like, please take it. Got it. And I'll Venmo you.
Okay, so how many
It
do you
was
want?
just one.
I'm gonna get 2 or 3.
Yeah. She's like,
Are you including the whole group?
Yeah. Just one for each of us. go ahead.
Okay, you want one, please.
Yes.
I want to know what I'm buying.
You're buying FFA.
Oh,
That's-
yeah,
Always
exactly.
buying FFA.
Yeah, that's exactly.
The nuts are just a cool thank you.
How are you, Dusty?
We're doing well. Thanks so
Good,
much.
good.
Just wanted to share a few highlights, a story, and then an ask that I'll share here in a second. But first, the highlights. So we had the opportunity to have ODE come through for their fall literacy tour. They chose 10 districts in the entire state of Oregon, and we were one of them. They came with 7 directors and specialists and consultants. It was quite the entourage with a filming crew. So as they came into each of these spaces, you could, imagine the kids, the feeling of celebrity, but it was amazing. So Cindy Smith, we wanted to put the right people in front of that entire presentation. So Cindy Smith, our reading specialist, is the one who kind of previewed the entire literacy program. We then went through our library with Autumn Irons, who's just an absolute gem and was able to see all the literacy support there. We worked our way around to Andrea Stein in a 3rd grade classroom, just absolutely rocking the wondrous core curriculum instruction. We then wrapped around to the reading intervention room where Cindy then had a small group doing really great reading intervention. We worked our way down to Teresa Gatchett in 1st grade and Michelle Chase in 2nd grade. They interviewed a couple of our little kiddos and teachers, and it just was a lot of fun. And at the very end of the tour, which was very positive, all the feedback we received, I appreciated it the way out, kind of the candid questions of like, so how has it been working with ODE? And you're not going to hurt any of our feelings. So I appreciated the candor of some of them that we could kind of talk about some of the amazing support that we received with certain programs and also some of the frustrations, which I'll talk about here in a second. And to piggyback on this, we just are submitting tomorrow our grant application for the Early Literacy Community Success Grant. We're asking for $226,000 next year and $300,000 the 2 subsequent years. And in that proposal, because we didn't get the Latinx Student Success Grant, which was hard, but we're rolling in literacy integrated clubs into that proposal. But that proposal is really going more into the homes. It's really infancy to toddlers, to kinders in building literacy. So those kids, when they come into the schools, they now have the language and literacy to be successful in kindergarten. So that's that grant. We're really excited for a lot of that work, and it's very innovative work that we haven't been doing. I don't know if many schools are, and so we're really looking forward to hearing back on that one. Some other things. We had our student recognition assembly on Friday, and it's a lot of fun. Teachers were able to recognize 2 students, but I love how they write their descriptions. So on that certificate, they get the descriptions. And so when we call it out, we're not just calling out Jenny, but we're reading the specifics of why Jenny and what the teacher has recognized about her. It just makes it so personal, so real. We get a ton of families in. And so we did student recognition for respect for our K2s and our 3-5s. We had some PE MVPs, and then you always have to have a big fun game. So we did Hungry Hippos, and it was a riot. We had parents participating in one of the assemblies, which was just a ton of fun. Yep. Best date night ever. It was 2 couples who were playing, and the wives were fantastic hippos. They destroyed. Like it wasn't even close. They had 3 times more than all the kids. They were very competitive. And then in the 3-5s, we had some teachers going. It's just a ton of fun. But I just love when we bring the school together, just that sense of energy. We are Jervis and really proud to be Jervis. Some other things. One of our first big activities was the Family Literacy Night, and this was big. We were able to just infuse thousands of dollars into books, a lot of activities, but just really making this the emphasis of the first activity we're going to do outside of open house is literacy based, and just having a lot of families turning out for that. And on the kind of the heels of this, then Kiwanis just came by and did a big book giveaway this week, and so it's really awesome to have them coming, giving out brand new books to our students, and just finding every way to get books into the hands of our kids and getting them really excited about that. We had our family bingo night on Tuesday. The cafeteria was absolutely packed, and it was fun. Families donated 3/4 of the prizes this year, which for me was really exciting because it shows ownership in the school and a lot of pride in being here. This is now our 3rd year of doing a lot of these activities, and we just loaded hundreds of prizes, books and squishmallows and board games and Legos, and try to keep it in that very like constructive side of things. And just, it was a ton of fun. And it's a great way to learn sportsmanship that you don't win every game, right? And we're happy for those who do. And we joked at the end because obviously some kids win 3 or 4 times and some kids don't win anything. And so we offered to send them home with the beans, at least to go home with something. But it was a ton of fun. I just love getting families into our building this way. And then just, again, looking forward to, we don't have the funding from the grant for these. Julie Powers has been awesome to use some attendance grants to help support this. And we're just trying to find ways to scale down the costs, but to ramp up the participation. And so we've got a winter performance coming up, which is always amazing. And so we'll do a K2 performance and a 3-5 performance on the same night. They're going to be headed off to Senior Estates before that to do a performance. It's kind of a nice dress rehearsal, but that gym will be standing room only. It's really pretty cute when kids sing. So we're excited to have that coming up. So again, we're just, even though we didn't get the money that we wanted, like we're very committed to make this happen because this has been a really amazing way to partner with families. We found a new partnership, Active Children Portland, and what they're doing is an all-girls soccer and theater program. It's only impacting 35 kids, but by golly, it's amazing. When you get rid of the boys and you have only girls in the gym playing soccer, the fierceness comes out in a way that you wouldn't see with the boys in there. And it's awesome. And they're writing their own plays and acting them out. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic to see them shining in this way. It took several attempts to get a coach hired through their program because they're paying for it. So I appreciate Makisha Bazan stepping in for 3 weeks to kind of fill it in that gap. We picked up Ariel Juarez, who is absolutely amazing. First kind of, I think, coaching role, but she just has just the perfect personality for these kids. And so we're just feel very blessed. And all the boys are just asking, begging, which clubs are coming. And so that's the ask that I wanted to share with you. So we're hoping, and Hilda Rosselli, who's been helping us with the grant proposal for that early literacy community success grant, feels really hopeful that we've got a really, really strong chance at that. And we've articulated in the narrative why those after school clubs really build literacy and a lot of vocabulary. And we're going to be using clubs that really kind of are true to that narrative. But we've been doing some calculations of the possibility of being able to launch some clubs this year and how we could scale that down in cost, but also maintain the impact. Because we've got last year in every session, there's about 260 kids participating, which was 70% of our school. And for me, that's the biggest heartbreak because I think we had the most robust program for the Latinx Student Success Grant. You know, I never submitted a single hour for that, so there's no administrative cost. It all went to programming, and it was amazing. So it was pretty heartbreaking when we didn't get it. But in thinking this through, if we were to cancel out 2 sessions and hit 2 sessions in the springtime, 7 weeks each, we typically try to do 1 day a week for just over an hour. And then given the pay structure that we had calculated before, and then articulating the clubs that we're looking at offering, to offer both sessions comes to about $16,000. But that's going to get 280 kids in each of those sessions. It gives them multiple choices. It allows for everything from our 3D printing and coding and robotics to art and violins. So pretty amazing and robust program. So we just wanted to submit that to the school board to consider. I know Dandy had suggested some ways that might be able to get covered, but we would love to be able to provide something. And if we can't get the full 16, then we'll just scale it down to whatever we can. But I know like it'd be a tremendous blessing for our school community, for our kids. And our parents are ever grateful when the kids stay for a little while after school. But, and then, and I guess that's this year. It has been really fun. Kids engage in those clubs in really powerful ways. Attendance spikes because those kids are never going to miss. And we're able to leverage a lot of that excitement from clubs right back into that classroom, those relationships. Anyone who's ever coached knows that your relationship as a coach is so different than as a teacher. So as you're doing these after school club programs, you can then leverage that different relationship back into the classroom now as you're working with these kids. And we were blessed that we didn't have to hire out for those advisors. These were all licensed teachers and are trained classified IAs. And so it was just absolutely amazing. These weren't 19-year-olds, which they can do fantastic too. But to have a licensed teacher running these clubs was just an absolute amazing blessing. So there's that. And I'll just kind of let the school board take that over. And then just wanted to share a story. And at dinner time, we often do these 2 highlights and a low light with our kids. And so I'll start with the low light and then the 2 highlights. So we're trying to live by the mantra this year of reaching for greatness every day. And this is academically, it's in our academic interventions, it's in our care and concern that we provide for kids. We received a new student here a few weeks ago. We've had some hard kiddos. Last year we had quite the run in the fall time. But this kiddo, and I love him dearly. He's an amazing kiddo, but with some challenges. On our very first day, within the first 2 hours, there was an explosion. I got punched 200 times, kicked 30 times. Several of those landed in the eyes and in the mouth. And then over the course of the next 3 weeks, that's been almost like on the daily. Got stabbed by scissors and all sorts of kind of craziness. But what I am so appreciative for is a kid who is screaming out, needing help in so many ways that I don't know how any school could handle a situation like that. But the district responded so quickly in providing additional supports. The school, when I look at that team, you couldn't have brought a better team together. Julie Schnell, our school counselor, is amazing. Barb Buchholz, our behavior specialist, incredible. Sarah Bradley, our assistant principal, absolutely amazing. We have right now signed a one-on-one. Rachel Bottomley, who's our behavior IA. Just when you watch, these are the most talented, most compassionate educators you could ever surround this kid. And so one of the highlights today was, because I'm the one who gets to respond to every time it goes violent, like I'm the guy, just to protect the staff and just to and so it's been exciting. We all have bruises up and down our arms and our shins, but today we had our outburst and it never got violent. It stayed pretty hot for a long time, but there's been so much work that's gone into trying to build some tools and strategies. And when you look at all of the work in just a short period of time, where those outbursts were happening 3 weeks ago to where they're happening now, and the frequency and the duration, and the severity, it's absolutely amazing. And just when you look at that, it's a tribute to a school. When you take the hardest of kids and how you're able to serve them, I think that reflects truly your capacity to serve all kids. And I appreciate our kiddos because you can hear him throughout the whole building. And everybody knows, but our kids are super gracious, sometimes curious, but super gracious. But again, you just couldn't pick a better staff to serve with more care and concern. And so just an absolute honor to have those groups of educators that we have here in Jervis. And so just feel very, very blessed. So yeah. Any questions?
Well, yeah, just in your interventions, and I'm just asking,
Yeah.
do we involve the parents with this?
Yes, like in this,
In that
100%.
instance?
And this family's actually been pretty amazing. There's a lot in this one, but we actually did several family tours ahead of time. They've been super communicative. Yeah, I mean, this partnership is I think really robust.
Alright.
But sometimes we're just like, even parents at their wits' ends. It's a struggle. But I feel like there's been a partnership here that's been really incredible. So yeah.
Very difficult. We appreciate how hard you work. You're amazing. And
One of the strategies the staff came up with is because this child, when he would get angry and physical, he would flip the table, which ends up clearing the room. We bolted the table to the floor.
Came in with some brackets and a drill and took care of that.
There you go.
Flip away.
I dare you.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would recommend that you have this as a discussion item tonight. You can just add that to the agenda, the funding request, and then we can talk through some possible ideas.
Perfect.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yes, I'll
Credit card.
get one. I have a card. I have cash though. Just give me your.
Where's my check? Oh, you're doing, I need, if anybody has a credit card, I will.
No.
call you.
Oh, don't worry, I'll Venmo.
Yeah.
All right.
But can you just write out? You know,
No, yeah. No, we're gonna-
Yeah, they're like, this is brilliant. We never thought of this strategy.
I will always support.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we always, yeah.
Well, I often don't, hear about it. Like I was at the high school on whatever day that was, and this senior parents were doing the pies. I'm like, I want a pie. Pie?
Exactly, see, you could have used that for Thanksgiving.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lammet ones, those are really
Those are great pies,
I agree.
Marion Berry, I bought one.
Yeah. I love this. Okay. Tony Johnson is next.
From middle school.
Ta-ta. Good evening, everybody. All right, that's us. right there. All right, we are up to
I know, I was so excited.
203 students. It's very exciting.
Every time I want to remember to take, I'm gonna stand up, to take a camera of my cell phone in,
Here,
take
go,
a picture.
hey.
Thanks,
Oh,
guys.
one more.
Oh. I always forget to do it, so this is not our kids.
No.
But she has a big group like that. Quick. But 203 kids. I was standing in recess, watching recess just today, and excuse me, Rudy Silva and I were talking, and we were like, you can really tell a difference even from last year. I mean, just 20 more kids really make a difference. Thank goodness we have that big gym to have everybody in, especially when the weather's bad, because it's packed in there. We have 4 basketball games going, 4 volleyball, and yeah, it's nuts. And chances are we're going to be adding another probably 20-ish for next year. So we're going to be bursting at the seams before we have the new school, but it is exciting. And just before I jump on, I'm sorry, guys, listening to the new school stuff, my heart just starts pounding. It is so exciting. It is so exciting. It's going to be such a game changer for the middle school. Cannot wait. So no, I'm not retiring for. Yeah. I'm going to be in that new school.
Can we get that right?
Yeah. So once a month, very first Friday, we have Student of the Month. So this was the last Student of the Month, which was for compassion. So that's just no, it's not in order, but that is a list of the students that got it for compassion. So every month it's a different trait, characteristic. I really like doing Student of the Month because a lot of kids will get awards during this time that might never get awards for academic reasons. So really, really cool. Really like this. Every other month, we do something called Academic ACE. This is the academic ones, just kind of what it sounds like. So I put in there congratulations. So there is most of the time, one sixth grader, one seventh grader, one eighth grader from the different core classes. So just going to point out the very first one. Boy, the Wells. Zach Wells and Dylan Wells, they really are good in science. Mrs. Wells works for our district also. She's over in the elementary school, I believe. But yes, that list of kids that just excel. Some of them excel more in more than one subject, but we really try to spread the wealth. And so the teachers do watch for the names. And so if a student does get it and say like history, then yes, maybe they deserve it in math, but they'll wait and do that at a later date so that we can kind of spread the wealth out. Positive staff. So this was something that I added this year. Students have been doing it since last year, but at every one of my all staff meetings, this is how we start it out. And it's a big paw. And one person will give it to another person and they'll announce why they're giving it to them. And then if you guys come into our school, you'll start seeing now we do have paws outside the classrooms. So this was the last all staff meeting. Rudy Silva, he's up in the far right. Amanda Braswell's right in the middle. Will Fenner, bottom left. Jacob Lundeen and Arlette Tapia are two of our long-term subs. Jacob Lundeen is in for Kristen Kamat, who's out on maternity leave. And then Arlette Tapia, one of my past students, she went to Jervis and graduated from Jervis. She has actually been doing math. She's been doing for Michael Mulcairn, who was out because he had knee surgery. And he'll be back right after the Thanksgiving break. Yes. Kim Bela is bottom right. She is science. And Angelica Albee is top left. She is one of our IAs, and her children also went through our district. This is a really cool thing. The first time we did it, I think we only had one or two. The last few times we did it, you can see there was 2, 4, 6, 7 of them. And we're clapping and wooing. And then just like the kids, they get to come up and get a candy bar. And it's really cool. Yeah, woo, I know. So it's really cool. Really fun. Yeah. So Mondays, we do attendance winners, announcing their names on the intercom. We do 1 6th grader, 1 7th grader, 1 8th grader. And the criteria is the previous week has to be a 5-day week. And they had to have been there all 5 days. I don't care if it's excused, unexcused. They had to be there all 5 days and no tardies, which is the kicker. So they really do have to be there and get to class on time. So that's our 6th graders, 7th graders at the bottom, and the 4 on the right are our 8th graders. Again, their name is announced on Monday. They come down and there are $5 gift cards. They can pick. Dutch Bros seems to be the most popular, but McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Jamba Juice. They get to pick one. So very, very cool. Winter sports. Winter sports have started for the middle school. We start before the high school does. It's pretty much a 6-7 week window. It's very, very quick. The 2 sports that have happened is girls basketball has started. They've played a few games. I understand they're kind of struggling, but it's a growing year. The sooner we start them, the better. And then we have wrestling. Right now we have 1 girl, middle schooler, that's a wrestler. The rest are boys. And I understand some of them are doing really well. Some of them aren't really thrilled to be there, but they're doing wrestling for conditioning because they did football and they want to do basketball. So they're doing it more for conditioning, not really love the sport. But hey, maybe they will love the sport if they in it. So homework help. This started last week before. So every Tuesday and Thursday, middle school students, they sign up, they do it themselves. We have 4 students sign up for today. It's just outside our room 5. They just sign up and say they want to come in. It runs from 3:15 to 4 o'clock. So it's just 45 minutes. And high schoolers, we have 6 high schoolers that have signed up as tutors who come in. And then if they spend it, I give them a full hour, generous, out of 45 minutes. And then I sign for volunteer hours. So they come in, they get volunteer hours, but the kids get help. When I was in there today, it really wasn't so much the high schoolers were really helping them so much. It was more the kids wanted a space to do work and wanted to be there. But the high schoolers are there if they need help, have any questions, give advice, whatever. I think it's also kind of cool because we do have kids that want to be high schoolers that want to be teachers. This is a good time for them to come in and just kind of get a taste of that. Is it something that I would like? Would I want to be doing this? Especially middle school. Do you want to do middle school? Got to be a little nuts to do middle school. But yeah. So I think it's going to, one of the high school students was saying, I thought we'd have more kids here. I said, as we get closer to the end of the semester, I think we're going to have a lot more, and especially 8th graders. We're going to have a lot more coming in to get that extra help. First quarter reward trip was last week. It was to the Get Air Trampoline Park. These are actual pictures. Yes, these are our kids. That went to the trampoline park. The criteria was they had to have a 70%, a C or better in all classes, plus passing homeroom, because that's pass fail. So if they had all that, no, attendance did not matter into this. This was totally grade related. If they met that criteria, then they got to go to the trampoline park and only had one minor injury come back, which I was pretty impressed with. One little twisted ankle. So that was pretty cool. But I understood they had a great time. They really had a lot of fun. So that was very cool.
What was the percentage?
We had 130 out of 203 that qualified to go.
Very good.
Coming up, this I'm really excited about. Amanda Braswell, Will Fenner, Becky Later, and myself are going to Barnes & Noble on December 3rd. That's the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. I'm using part of our just school funds. And then Dandy was generous enough to do another chunk of money for Spanish books. So we're taking money and we're going to go to Barnes & Noble because we're a title school. They give us 30% off, which is really cool. And we're literally going in a total of $3,000 with 30% off. That's a lot of books. And we're going to make a big deal about it. We're literally going to like cart them in and put them out, have a big, huge assembly, make a big deal about it. The excitement of books, trying to get those kids to go in. These will be library books that we're going to be putting into our library. The more you read, the better you get at reading. It's as basic as that. Get that love of reading going. We want to get those all put into the library, all scanned in, so that before they leave for winter break, that they can take a book home and read over those 2 weeks. Hopefully it's a series or something they get hooked on, come back, check out another book, and it just kind of goes from there. So we're going to make a big deal about it, and it should be really, really exciting and really fun. And happy Thanksgiving. Can't believe it's next week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Questions?
A bunch of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna go right here, because I can't see the screen. Sorry, we're arguing.
I'll be back.
Sound like a married couple.
Come on, Doug.
I'm Vanna, actually.
I told him he didn't get paid as much as Vanna.
Will you run my mouse? You're like, oh God, I got the bottom left. All right, Jervis High School, school board presentation. Good evening. So just some updates to the high school. We're finally finished with the accreditation, thank God. So it's been about a 6-month process. 90% of the work was done by my team of 4 teachers, but we had our initial review with our coach yesterday. In her opinion, we're doing really, really well. We get the final report at the end of the end of December or early January. So we will see. That's all the information I have on that. We are in the process of purchasing a new food truck trailer. Scott's been helping with that work. So it's been great. So that's exciting. Student Success Agency is a little vague right now, but basically the Gear Up grant is helping to pay for all students to go through this program. And they can basically download an app on their phone and have an agent that they can contact that connects them with tutors anytime.
Wow.
So I'm sitting at home at 7:30 on a Tuesday and I need help with Algebra 1. I go to my agent and I can get some help. So
Just can't ask that IA thing.
yeah, no, it's like, I think it's like a real person. So I've only had one little training on this. There's a lot more to come on it, but it's definitely something that we're excited about.
That sounds cool.
Great,
Yeah.
great game changer. We applied for a 10K grant for professional development for staff through the Gear Up grant, so that's coming. We had a Veterans Day, the Living History Day, which we've done for a very long time. We only had one veteran last year. We had 19 veterans this year,
Wow.
which was great. And they came during right before lunch, had the assembly with the middle school, stayed for lunch, and then stayed in the afternoon and actually hosted sessions in classrooms and talked to the kids.
Wow,
Yeah, it was really, really neat.
that's cool.
We have officially met with all juniors and seniors, except for one junior and one senior, I believe, at this point. Any junior or senior that's not on track to graduate, and had serious conversations about what that looks like for you at this point in time. And then we're going to move on to the sophomores and then our freshmen who are struggling. And our Woods class has been building structures for numerous areas in the district, just kind of storage, shelters, that kind of thing. I know the transition program with Creighton's going to house one, and then one's going to be used for athletics.
Yep.
So
Nice.
pretty cool.
Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Doug. So state report card just came out today, officially. So there's 5 data points. I'm going to share with you 4 of them. On track to graduate rate is up 16% from last year. That's 9th graders that are on track to graduate. 85% of them. The Oregon average is 85%.
Perfect.
So we're hitting that.
Yeah, we're right on track.
Yeah. On-time graduation rate, that's students who finish in 4 years of high school. We're at 89%. That was down 8% from last year. Or this is actually 2 years ago because this is last year's data. But the Oregon average is 81%. So we're still above the Oregon average. But our 5-year completers were 100%, which is up 7% from the year before. And the Oregon average is 87. And then college going students, 45%, that's up 16% from 2 years ago. So if you think about when we started the Gear Up grant, when we started the College and Career Center, all that stuff, over the last 2 years, 16% increase. The Oregon average is 53. So we're not hitting the Oregon average. But we also push a lot of, trade programs and things like that too.
Right.
So yeah, doing really, really, really well.
Is that to 4-year college, or is that just, that also includes?
I don't know how they calculate that.
It's 2 or 4 year.
2 or 4 year.
Yeah.
So it's Shemeketa 2 and all those things. Yeah. So yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, no, man.
So I wonder if you were to include people that graduate from the Willamette Career Academy, right, with their manufacturing and all that, what that would.
I don't think that would factor into that.
Well, yeah, if there was a data point where they talked about a college going plus trade,
Right.
Trade school.
I would suspect that our percentages overall are higher
Are higher
than
than
average
that, yeah.
because of the things that we have.
Yeah.
But I don't know that anybody's really collecting that yet,
Right.
but we could ask.
It's something. I think it would move it.
Yeah, I think
so too. honestly.
Well, I think it would also open some eyes to people and say, hey,
Exactly.
maybe that's something that we should be doing.
And this is the state report card. I mean, they only report on certain categories of things that they report on for the school. So we've been doing a lot of professional learning community work, PLC work with the teachers. This is a big initiative for myself, the district, all the schools. Teachers are getting this kind of data regularly. So about every 4 or 5 weeks, we're doing this, and they're getting in groups. So this is like, if you're what you're looking at is, it'll have the student name on the left, what grade they're in, their attendance percentage, their credits earned, and what classes they're currently failing. And they get tiered. So we broke it down into 3 different tiers. And you're either gonna be red, blue, or orange, right? Blue being good, orange being okay, not so good, red being, we're struggling. So that's where we're kind of at, is I've been giving teachers this data regularly and having them just have conversations. And the next step's gonna be, okay, what kind of next steps do we need to take? What are our interventions? What do we need to do? But it's gonna be, this is gonna be like a 2 or 3 year process for Jervis High School to really do this work correctly and actually have a concrete plan as to what we want to do with this data on a regular basis.
Right. But at least you're looking at the data.
So the last meeting we had, I gave them this data and I said, pick 5 kids. I don't care. Like, you can go 9th, 10th, 11th, I don't care. 5 kids that you're going to talk to every single day, every week until Christmas. And just have conversations and check their data regularly. So it's exciting. It's cool. But a lot of work to do on that. I'm not going to go over this so much. So at the beginning of the year,
What, you're not?
well, yeah.
Point number 47A.
At the beginning of the year, what? At the beginning of the year, the first day with staff, I put 2 posters on the wall and I said, you know, write sticky notes. What is engagement and what is rigor in your mind? Because those are very vague terms. And engagement and rigor are 2 things that we're really focusing on as a district. And that's the results that we have. I have not given that to staff yet, but I want to, and I don't know what to do with it yet. I'm like, but we need to have conversations about what that looks like in our building. What does it mean when I need to walk into the classroom and I see engagement? What is that? What is rigor? What is, you know, all of those things. So that's more work to come with the teachers. Okay, so we had our accreditation. I'm gonna breeze through this. I'm not gonna read everything, promise. But this was the presentation that the accreditation people got to see from our team. So first slide was, we went over kind of what is Jervis? Who is Jervis and our demographics and all that kind of thing. And then we kind of focused on, you know, opportunities to get involved, 21 plus opportunities. We have 48 staff members. 8 initiatives for success, like 9th grade on track, year up, all those things. 16 opportunities for dual credit at Jervis High School. 320 great students. And then just some demographics, percentage of our students with different, you know, race, demographics, that kind of thing. And then we went over our core values from the strategic plan. We kind of stole that from, because we're kind of going by that at the high school in general. So, sorry, I'm going really quick, but it's on purpose. And our mission and vision. I didn't do that on purpose.
Now I miss her even more.
Great job.
But our mission within our growing diverse community, we sow the seeds of opportunities to raise prepared, resilient students. Graduating resilient, responsible students whose learning extends to the global community beyond Jervis, which is always a focus for us. Athletics. Yep, go. That's what we offer. That's what we offer. Yep. We noted some of our extracurriculars. That's not all of them. But I think people forget, like, we also offer, you know, Upward Bound, which is a college prep program and things like that. It's not just Aggie Lesson, FFA, and National Honor Society, but there's other things out there. Yep. So yeah, I mean, we highlighted our academics, 97% on-time graduation rate, dual credit opportunities, the PAUSE program, 119.5 credits completed last year, which is amazing. Summer school earned 74 credits. And then all of our graduation requirements, which is, we all know what those are. Some of the strengths: staff and students support each other. 65th percentile positive response on the Youth Truth Survey. Students believe that their school fosters a culture of respect and fairness, which is awesome. We see that time and time again with our kids. We're always offering assistance. We talked about the meals we served during COVID and all of that kind of thing, and sharing resources. We talked about credit recovery, you know, PAUSE, summer school, all those things that we've always offered, and how great our graduation rate is. That's Doug. And some of our strength, curriculum and professional development, scope and sequence work that Bonnie's done has been great in our district. We always have up-to-date materials. And our professional development, I feel like as a district for teachers has really improved with the Danielson work and all of that. And all of our college and career readiness opportunities have grown substantially. And then we talked about our goals. Those are the 4 goals from the strategic plan. So we went over that. And then we kind of talked about plans for continued improvement. So this is kind of an, if we do this, then this will happen kind of thing. And I'm not going to read through all that, but, and did you share this with them? I can share it with them.
I didn't,
Okay,
so
I can,
I got it.
if you guys get bored and you want to read through the whole presentation.
we will
But
share
anyway,
this with you.
Thank you.
Could you be
Yeah.
more audible? We'd really like you to read it.
And then we talked about the bond. So those are all the, proposed projects, 73% passing for the bond, which is great. Going for gold is our yearly theme. They want to see the pictures, but I'm just kidding. Tell me when to go
Actually,
next.
I did.
Just tell me when you're ready.
So I wanted to end with, I pulled in 4 random students today that I knew were out of district kids who had transferred in neighboring districts. Because we hear a lot about how kids come to Jervis and they just love it so much more. So one junior from Woodburn who's come to us says it feels more like a better community. Everyone knows each other. There's a lot more diversity here than Woodburn, and the teachers care. A student from a sophomore from Salem Kaiser said, I love this school because there's no problems here. Everyone treats each other like family. A sophomore from Woodburn who transferred in said, I like this school because they gave me opportunities when nobody else would. Nobody wanted to accept me. I feel accepted and welcome at Jervis. And then a junior from Mount Angel said, Willamette Career Academy has been a great opportunity. Sports and class options, I prefer them over my old schools. Teachers are nice. But we hear that time and time again from students. And those are actual quotes from 4 juniors and sophomores at Jervis High School today. Yeah.
I would expect that from Woodburn, but not Mount Angel. That's a surprise there. I'm glad to hear.
That's all I got.
Good job.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
You guys have any
Thank you.
questions?
I'll give just a short,
Oh, yeah.
sports update.
I like how this is like, I'm done. See you, Vanna. Good luck to you, Vanna.
I'll be back here.
Yeah, I'll be in chair too. Yeah. We get along great. It's a good partnership. Yeah. We did the infiltration on the football field, so we have those punched right now. Scott and I are working on meeting with the excavator to come out to kind of get a true game plan, something in writing, so we know after the last track practice, we'll be digging. You'll be digging.
Yes, we don't want our kids disappointed.
No,
They were
we could have
disappointed that
hosted
it
another
didn't
game. at
happen
home,
for this
but,
year.
so that's in the works. I mean, the girls, the leadership ladies did a great job. They took pretty much everything I had to say. We did well in the fall sports. Volleyball, we didn't win a bunch of games, but this was the girls came in and said this was the most cohesive, fun time they've had together. So that was a great plus. That's a momentum building forward. Football team pretty much took all the awards. We had 18 kids that made all league off the football team. We had an argument, coaches meeting with offensive lineman of the year. They gave it to a senior versus our Angelo Ferreira. They give it to him. Johnny won defensive player of the year last year. He won offensive player of the year this year because they wanted to split it with the guy at Colton. So, but I'm sure we have some
No
all-state
splitting,
awards.
not everybody's a winner, not everybody gets a
Yeah,
trophy.
you're right. You're right. But it's super. The energy around the football team. I know football kind of gets held on a pedestal more than any other sport. But
our school's behind this team. So it's pretty exciting. Hopefully we go play well on Saturday. Winter sports is starting. We're down girls sports. We don't have a lot of participation in girls basketball. I'm not sure why. I've hit the hallways. Stephanie, our head coach, is recruiting. The girls are recruiting. We'll just have one varsity team. We're about 10 players. Not sure. I mean, I know the middle school's down 2 number wise, so we're just maybe in a cycle right here, but we're still pushing it. We have some female wrestlers, so we're doing well with that part of it. So we'll keep pushing, but just don't want to be shocked when you show up for a JV girls game and we don't have a JV. So, but other than that, great coaching staff. They're there for our kids, and it's really fun to work with them. But so.
I know that the St. Paul superintendent tried to challenge me today at our superintendent's meeting for the game on the 30th.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I told him, well, that'll only be if you survive your trip over Central Oregon.
That's very true.
I'd love to see Jervis St. Paul.
And we don't have any St. Paul wrestlers here yet because they're all still playing football. And I was just talking with Gil, our head coach, and he was like, if we play Jervis and St. Paul, we play in a championship game, that first wrestling practice could be, they're all football players and are waiting for our football players. So it could be a little dicey to get going. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but that would be a super fun game. And that will be at Hillsborough Stadium on the 30th after we win on Saturday. Yep. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay, Karen.
Karen, give us good news with all the money we got. She found the money for you in the SSA. I know you have a pot of gold at the
Winner.
Okay, I have a little packet under your regular packet. And so I just am gonna go through a few of these things that I see that I think you might look at. And on page 2, which is the one you're looking at, that is the right one. It says 2, 1 on the bottom of it, but on the side it's 2. It's in the packet. It's this one.
That one.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. When you look at income other, that large amount is all bond related dollars. And also there is now the beginning fund balances have all been rolled in. So that includes beginning fund balances as well. And then if you look down on expenses under facilities acquisition, you'll see that 39,888 again. Those are bond. So you can kind of watch that figure grow, although there could potentially be some other spending in facilities acquisition, but in general, what you see popping up there is going to be the bond. So, and then the transfers below, you'll see that we've only done 176,000 of the transfers to date. Part of that is we have that 700,000 that we have kind of set aside of FCA that could potentially be transferred. And so it looks like a lot of transfer money, but it really is, that more than anything. And then we have some set aside for food service, but they ended the year a lot better than we projected. So they did not need to use it in 23-24. So we're just crossing our fingers that things go better this year and they won't need to use that as well. But past history says we do need to normally use it for food service. It was just kind of the whole COVID effect that caused us not to need to use that. But she does a good job of running the summer programs, and the summer programs are kind of where she makes money. And then it kind of helps balance out the whole food service account in that way. Okay, then we'll move to page 3, although it says the whole page 1 of 2. I know it's kind of confusing. Too many numbers on these. Now this does include all of our general fund, including from the Frontier Charter account when we're looking at this. And so go down to the first under resources, operating revenues. You'll see the local revenues are sitting at 12,732, but that's similar to last year. And now when we look at next month's, it's gonna really go quite a bit higher, because this is when, November is when we get all that tax money in. And we're gonna have the taxes from the bond. So that's another new thing for me to figure out how to do in our system.
We believe in you.
I can do it. And then down, as you go down that to the total operating revenues, there's a beginning fund balance. So if you look under the current year, that's at 3,522,289. And again, those are all the general fund. And we're gonna review those ending fund balances that rolled in a couple moments when we get to the last page. And basically, the revenue insight is just, it's the state school fund being more this year. That's what makes it higher. And then you turn to the next page, this is expenditures. And it's primarily the purchase services. Again, that's the whole state school fund. We get more, we give more over to Frontier Charter, but their numbers have gone down. So we are adjusting in November for that. So we're going to start paying them less. And so that you'll see a little adjustment there. And then also a salary increase, which is normal to have salary increases. So moving on to the next page, this is where we are projecting, and this one is general fund without Frontier Charter. We're projecting where we will end the year at. So last year at this time, when I did this projection, the ending fund balance projection you see on this one is 461,907. Last year it was 311,000, which obviously is not what we landed on when we ended the year. So we were at 2 million something. So this point in the year always does this. And then I get together with them and kind of see, does this really look right as far as what we've spent? So that's the next step, is for me to meet with the people at Frontline and kind of tweak our calculations to make sure they're properly representing what's happened and what we project will happen. So I'm not worried about that. It's actually higher than last year at this point. So, all right. And then if you can go all the way to page 7. So I just found this nice report, and I just thought it would be interesting to see. And again, this is at this point, so July through October, and the upper left graph is all salaries in, which is 111 is our teachers, 112 is classified, the 113 are administrators, and 114 are managers. And so that's all of them. You see nice stair step going up. And then you look at the licensed salaries and you see where they're at. And again, this is an area where we added a little later in the year some staff that we still have now. And then the classified, you can take a look at that, administrators and the managerials. Just kind of see a similar across the board climb, except for in the licensed, and that's for a good reason. And then the next page, page 8, the spreadsheet that I sent you in your board packet. I've now kind of shifted things around so I can kind of explain what these ending fund balances mean a little more. And so what I put down here is, what did we spend this year? What revenues came in against them? A lot of these grants we claim them after we spend them. And so you'll see quite a few of them ending at 0. So the top 2 in yellow are our general fund. So that's where we brought in the 3,522,000 into the new year. And then the next set are not grants. They are like special funds that we've set aside for special reasons. And, this is kind of a nice look at some of the facility items too, as far as what we have sitting in those accounts at this point. I do want to point out the negatives, which are in orange. We try not to have negatives when we roll in, but occasionally there's reasons why we do. And so this particular one is our athletics for high school and middle school. We're kind of doing something a little different with that coding for this current year, but they were a little more below that. Were even more negative with some of the expenditures that they've had. And we've really kind of reworked and revamped the athletics because they're needing more money on a yearly basis. They're going to state. State is very expensive when they go to it, especially transportation. And we're trying to slowly suit them up and make them look decent because some of them had pretty old uniforms. And so there's a lot going on within that. They have a little more of a budget to work with for the current year that we're in anticipation of that. But, I told them, I wasn't going to be able to clear all of that negative, and they're going to have to take that in and offset their beginning amounts that they're dealing with for this year because of going over in their spending. So anyway, these are the non-grant. And then in the pink, these grants existed back in the 1920 school year. So it's kind of like pre-COVID, post-COVID. And also, I think that there's also an influence of the staff that are here and applying for grants as well. And so there are two negatives here. One of them is Title I-C Summer, Migrant Summer. We had a grant of $70-some thousand for Migrant Summer, but they gave it to us in 24-25. But we needed to start spending on that grant before. So we did some spending on it, carried it over, everything balances out in 24-25, it's zero. So that is where we allowed some of the negative carryover. This facilities grant. So this is our seismic TAP grant, and they don't want us to claim it until it's all spent and we complete a big report. So they're letting it kind of sit out in last year's funds, move over, and then when we've got everything spent and we have the report they want to have done filled out, then they will reimburse us. So that is why that one is carrying over negative. Okay, so then the last page of this, these are all grants that were not here, and actually Medicaid technically is not a grant, but it kind of is, so I kind of put it up in the blue. So none of these were here in 1920, and now they're here. And it represents quite a bit in this blue section. And part of it is as a result of, COVID times. Some of those have fallen off too. There were even more than this at one point with some of those summer grants that came in. But, it is quite a few. The SIA is one of the really big grants as well. And then there's just a lot of the ones where we've gone out and received new grants that support our students. So I think it's kind of impressive to see those figures on the new grants that have come in since 1920,
That really is.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. So, and this one, this SIA, they make us claim it all. Then we can spend through September 30th. And so that's why you see a big carryover. Most grants like that is like spend, then you claim, but this one, claim it all, and then you can spend through September 30th. So there's a big positive carryover, but it is now at zero. So. And then going down to the outdoor school can kind of carry a balance because they give us a little bit of an indirect in that fund. And I just kind of keep it in there because there might be years when they don't cover us as well as they have. So it's just creates a cushion in that outdoor school fund. And so Gear Up is another interesting grant. Gear Up they run kind of wacky. Their fiscal year ends August 30th. So they want us to claim every quarter. And so their final quarter goes from June 1st to August 31st, which I don't like at all.
Oh, my word.
Cross 2 fiscal years on me. So I really don't like that. I keep saying, why do you do this? I mean, anyway, so that is why that one sits out, comes in, it's already been claimed for that next period. So, And this legal award special funds, this is where we received that vaping funds.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
it
Okay.
is a slow trickle in of these funds, but we spent them and then some. This is not all that we spent on those vape sensors, but we moved some of that to, you know, another category and just left in a little bit. We know the money's coming, so that's why. Okay, well, that is what we have. Any questions?
I like it.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just wanted to add something to Karen's report. Well, first of all, you know, you can see what the sheer number of new ads on the grants. It's not just touching it one time, right? She has to touch it multiple times, every reporting cycle, and invariably ODE decides they want more information, different information, so she's going back and resubmitting. It is hugely cumbersome. And so I just want to say thank you, Karen, for what you're doing. And she's also done a really good job of educating our office managers and our principals in terms of understanding budget and making those buildings responsible for understanding where are we at budget-wise, what is the budget implication if I don't follow this rule or this deadline parameter. You know, we are starting to hold them responsible for not following the directions. So she's really set up great systems so that I feel very confident we're not ever going to end up like a Corbett, which is in the news this week. Short $4 million,
Yeah.
laying off 20 staff members, 6 furlough days.
Those don't make sense.
So I also want to point out when she talks about the athletics and how we've had to, you know, buffer up this. So for instance, I was at the football game Friday night. You were there, Henry. Freezing.
Freezing.
It was freezing cold.
It was.
And if you looked at our boys, they had, very few of them had Under Armour or gloves. They had no jackets. They had none of the gear that your high performing teams have. And when I talked to Doug about how the team's doing, are they excited? What do they need? They haven't played great the last 3 weeks. And he said the coach thinks it's because the weather's turned and every game since the weather's turned, we're in the elements and we don't have the equipment for it. Not that that's it's not an excuse,
Yeah.
but it is a factor, right? And so kudos to our boys to continue to work hard and get it done. But I guarantee you St. Paul will have a ton of gear when they go to the state championship in 2 weeks. So I have Doug pricing out some things, anything we buy for the males, we have to do something equivalent for females. And so that is going to be, you know, an ask, but anyway.
Is that something that we could put out that, you know, we're taking donations for that kind of stuff?
We could.
I mean, I'm sure the
Community would, I
community
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
following them now and things like that. I bet we
Want
could
to see
get
them
some
succeed.
100%.
Yeah.
Someone, I mean,
So
And I 100% support that. And
Yeah.
every $10, every $20 will help, right?
Oh, for sure.
Buy a couple
Yeah.
gloves and this, that, and the others.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
we'll oftentimes go out at night here, you know, and it's cold and it's rainy and those football players are out there and I just feel so bad
Yeah.
for them. Because,
Yeah.
you know, I'm like
That
in
was the
my
funnest
coat
days,
and
huh?
I'm like.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you.
And
Sharon.
thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see here. For my report, go to my board report. I wanted to just give you a couple of updates on things I highlighted in my report. So the special education stipends, you may have read about that in the, I think it was the Oregonian or Oregon Live put out something. First of all, the amount that the news is published is inaccurate. They put out some number like $1,350 every person's going to get who's identified. I don't even know where they came up with that number because we don't even have the number of people identified yet to divide into the $8.9 million. So that's not helpful.
No.
We really are speculating it's going to be more like $200 or $300 before taxes. So they'll bring home $225. So right now our district has identified 28 employees who meet the parameters that are set out in that 10-page guidance. And we have created a spreadsheet. I've sent it to board leadership groups. Not because they can bargain over it, but just as a courtesy, this is what we've identified. Let us know if you think we've missed someone, because obviously we don't want to miss anybody. Then we're required to submit that spreadsheet for January, but of course, because it's great, it's already done. So we'll be submitting it in December after we come back from Thanksgiving break. But the one thing about this particular incentive that the 2023 legislative body put in place, they didn't account for the associated costs with these payments. So when you pay an employee for something, there's the employer side of the taxes and the benefits. We have to take that out of our general fund now. So this is an unfunded, unplanned for experience. We don't know how much that's going to cost us yet until we know how much the stipends are going to be. I mean, for our district, you know, we're positioned that we'll be able to cover that. But for districts that are already having significant shortfalls, like a Silver Falls or a Salem Kaiser, and then you add another $3 or $4 million onto what, I mean, that's, and we can't not take it, because if we don't take it, then the message it sends is not okay. So we are saying thank you, but then also strongly wording a document that's going to go to the legislators that, hey, when you do things that you think are helpful, could you please ask the people what the unintended consequences might be of that? So,
Those type of decisions dumbfound me when they don't ask the people that it's going to affect.
Right.
How is this really going to help you?
Yeah.
It's great to throw a pile of money at something, but oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, and of course, you know, then trying to figure out how we're going to pay it out, that adds more steps for the business office. So, and you can't charge any indirects for it. So we're eating all of that. Okay. So I mentioned bargaining, classified bargaining. We got their demand to bargain notification. So after the first year, you will need to decide who's going to be the lucky board member to be on that team. We'll leave that for later discussion. And then I did bring up here that, so at this time of the year is when we talk about my annual evaluation, because usually you start working on that in January, like at the work session. And so if depending on what you decide tonight, we would need to get in contact with OSBA and figure out what we're doing. The number I got from OSBA is when you do the full evaluation, they charge $195 an hour. She says it takes about 4 hours to do my evaluation, which includes the surveying that you guys do, and then she processes the data, plus travel. So I would say you're probably spending around $900 a year on my evaluation. And we budget for that, so it's not like it's not budgeted for. So, you know, part of the thing that I wanted to point out, as I shared in my report, is that I think it's important for you to at least start thinking about transition. And besides my evaluation, and the purpose of the evaluation is not just to provide feedback about how I'm doing as your leader, but also what the people I'm leading want from a leader. And so, you know, having that information when you think about who's going to replace me would be important to have. There's also some other things I outlined in here about what you should do in the year prior to me retiring that sets the district up for additional facility issues, future bonds, goals, strategies. I think one of the reasons why the district was so far behind when I got here, is that the transition planning hadn't really occurred in terms of like, how do we keep moving the ball forward? I think all of the gains you've seen in terms of student performance, attendance, people happy with the community is because you've had stability and leadership. My position with Creighton, going to multiple positions, the other administrators, Karen, we're all going to start retiring.
No, but
Not
I'm pretty
Creighton.
sure we have it in writing. Nope, no retiring.
So it will be time for you guys to start figuring out what you want that to look like.
It was good thinking. So put that out there.
No,
It seems like 3.5 years is a long way away, but it's not really, right?
it's not.
And, you know, when you look at the superintendent leadership in state. When I started 6 years ago, there I was one of 40 new superintendents, and now I'm one of the most veteran superintendents in the state because of the turnover. So it,
Crazy.
there's issues. to think about. Sorry.
Did you start holding an academy too? Can we add that to your plate? Training up some superintendents.
Yeah, I might do that at my side gig after I retire, because I can do that from Hawaii virtually.
Zoom in.
Yeah, you could.
And then the rest of my report is the integrated action plan. I have to give that annual update. So there's no other questions. I'm done with my report. Marie is the one that attended the bond advisory meeting. Did you want to give them any? There's a couple of handouts in the back of your packet from what they did that night. But
Exactly, and there was basically two main questions that were asked. Bob Zelinski asked basically, when will the Awesome grant be paid? And that's pretty much, you can start submitting, invoices once the work is kind of done. So we'll be getting paid. I'm sure Karen will be submitting invoices on a quarterly basis, most likely. The other question that was asked was from Melanie, and she asked about reader boards and how were those being paid for? The reader boards that we're talking about, putting one here in Jervis and one in Brooks, and that comes from the technology part of the bond. So, and then Dandy basically went over, explained the bond, what was put in the
voter's guide.
in the voter's guide. So that was it. And then the other part was what's in our packet right now, the Jervis School District. Back here. Mhm. Does that cover it?
Yeah, there's more. Basically, and I can give it during the bond update. But
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah.
Everybody came? Everybody was supposed to be there, was there?
Yeah, it was an hour and we were out. Woo! Yeah.
All right, consent items.
Did anybody have anything on those?
No.
Okay. I move that the Jervis District Number 1 Board of Directors approve the consent items as listed in Mass 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, and 7.5.
We have a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good. Action items.
Your findings of fact is your first action item. The language is on page 34. And that's just approving the process that Scott described to you.
Oh, yeah. That's the language is on 34, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. I move that the Jervis School District Number 1 Board of Directors approves the findings of fact for CM/GC as shown on agenda item 11-24-9.1.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Integrated plan.
Okay, so next is my report on the integrated plan. So I'm required to provide a yearly report on how we did last year and how that's driving some things for this coming year. At a later board meeting, I will share budget information. We just don't have all the final budget pieces in yet. I'll probably try to do that at your January work session. But the other thing is that as soon as I do that, then ODE comes out with different requirements about how to report it. So I'm kind of waiting for that to see what I'm supposed to do. So we touch it once. Each quarter, I'm required to fill out this progress report and progress markers in terms of how we're doing. And then annually, we have 2 narrative questions that I'm supposed to share the response. And so for this year, as a reminder, the integrated programs really is SIA, but then there's also some other buckets of money, like high school success, the early literacy grant, and some Perkins money. And so for the integrated programs, they're supposed to fall in one of four or could fall in all four areas that we're trying to focus on to help students. Providing a well-rounded education, advancing equity, engaging our community, and strengthening district systems and capacities. So the idea is that if we do all of these things, we'll create opportunities for students to succeed. And then under each of these categories are what they call progress markers. So you have to rate yourself. How are you doing? And how are you doing every quarter? And how are you doing from this time last year compared to now? So the first question is, as we're looking at this overall plan, how do we see our progress contributing to the outcomes and strategies in our plan and our growth targets? And so I'm not going to read all of this because it was in your board packet. I think obviously the first most important thing is to get kids here in school. So attendance, you have to be here. So we've poured a lot of time and resources into that. And the high school is still lagging behind. But if you look at the K-8, it's working. We're seeing results. We're seeing parents understand the importance of their kids coming to school every day. And, by the parent nights and how they're engaged and they are developing those relationships. I think that the other piece is that we are seeing an increase in enrollment from transfer students because of the things that we are doing here and the opportunities we are providing to our students through these monies and our efforts, whether it's the Willamette Career Academy or the participation of EMT program, middle school sports. A lot of districts don't have middle school sports that are sponsored by the district. They're more club-based.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, our elementary program, especially with what we did with the Latinx grant. So that's been a really positive outcome for our group. It's difficult to read. And as Andrew said, the report card came out today. So at our January work session, I will present more data. But this data, when it talks about third grade English language arts, it does include Frontier Charter. So you'll see here that, and the state in the blue, these are the numbers they told us we had to start with. So we started with this number of 14.64% of our kids met the mark, the proficiency. And then they told us, okay, you're going to go with a percentage. And so for every year, this is how much growth you're supposed to be making. And this is where your percentages should end, so that you're getting up to as close to, what the state average or what they want the state average to be. And so we last year, or 2022, let's see, I can't read it. Sorry. 22, 23. So 21, 22, our kids were actually at 25.7% for baseline. So they were actually higher than the green. Then the next year, 22, 23, they were at 35%. And then, but that is with the Frontier Charter. So that kind of skewed that. So in the state report card, you're going to see our data from this last year was at 33%. So for third graders meeting those benchmarks. Well, so then I went back and I looked at pre-COVID. So in 2017-18, 34% of our kids were meeting the benchmark. So we're almost at what we were at before COVID. We've made that in 2 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
But in that same time, the language arts standards changed. So you would expect there to be a dip anyway. And we implemented new curriculum. So those two things always lower achievement scores. And so then you couple it with everything else that happened, and we're doing well.
Yep.
I would say we're doing well with that part. So we won't have more, like I said, the report card was just released today. And so I'm assuming later in January or February, I'll have to give a report out on how we did on longitudinal growth targets, but I don't know yet. And then the next question is, what are challenges or barriers for us to achieve our outcomes and strategies? And so the amount of mandates, like public education is now everything to everyone. We have not increased the school year. We have not increased the teaching day. And so just in the 6 years I've been here, social studies, partial adoption with new standards. English language arts, new standards, new adoption, math, science, this year's PE and health. On top of that, all content areas, social, emotional, and mental well-being, tribal history. And then if you're an elementary teacher, you're responsible for all of those. As compared to high school, where you're just a content, you only have to worry about math or social studies. It's not a wonder our teachers are exhausted. And I can't juggle all of these things. So that has been difficult, trying to work through that with staff and trying to help them recognize you can't work any harder. How do we work smarter? You're going to have to give up some ownership. Like, you're an elementary teacher. We're going to let Henry plan science. You're going to plan math, and you're going to switch and you're going to share. And you're going to just trust your colleague to know the standards and your grade level. So, that is a big switch. Providing them with these uniformed assessments with the expectations that you will administer them and that you will then analyze it and create an action plan and report back on that. Like, the level of accountability has increased. And that's also very stressful for your staff, because it can feel threatening and intimidating. And like, why are you trying to catch me doing something wrong? No, we're trying to, just like a coach, we want to see where are our strengths. How does the coach give you extra work or specialized focus so that you as a team member can be your best self? Because we are all on the same team. We're not running.
Gotta find where you're hurting.
Yeah.
To fix it.
So, those have been difficult. So, and then, kids in and out, lack of attendance, people moving. It's all challenging, but I feel like finally we have a direction and objective measurements in terms of how are we doing. It's not just, oh, well, it feels better. Well, no, kids are telling us it's better. Their feedback and surveys is better. Our test scores are better. And then these are the progress markers. Again, these are in your packet. I'm not going to go through all of them, and we weren't even necessarily required to report out on the progress markers, but I thought it would be good for you to see the different categories and see where we started out at, low, medium, high, wherever. And then the idea is you want to move to firmly in place. The good news is that there's nothing that is stuck at low, right? We might not be firmly in place, but at least we've moved from low to medium, and we've identified what's it's gonna take to get us out of medium and into high or firmly in place. So I didn't know if any of you had any questions about any of these progress markers. I think that for me, when I look at these overall, I'm really proud of the work that all of our staff are doing, your administrators and teachers and classified as well, in terms of how they've taken the strategic plan and the 4 goals, and then we've married them over into the goals of this so that all of our efforts are aligned. And then when your buildings, now this year, your buildings are creating their own individualized building plans, which support all of this. So if we were talking about student engagement and increasing rigor, they're looking at, okay, what are our kids lacking? Hey, here at the elementary school, they're lacking this kind of vocabulary development. At the middle school and high school, it looks different. What do they need to focus on? So I think that they have done great work, and there'll be some setbacks, but as we move forward, I expect to continue to see really great achievement. And I think not just academic, but helping people develop into aware citizens, helping students develop that knowledge. So, and our parents are happy. They seem to be happy, even when they are having conflict in the schools, even when there's things that they're not liking. Like, they understand that it's an individual approach that staff has best interest in mind. Like I'm probably gonna jinx it because I've said this. I've not had one parent complaint yet this year. So now I've jinxed it. I'll be the whole next month.
Yeah.
Your email's blowing up
I know,
right
as
now.
I speak. Right? So, not that people are happy with everything, which is fine, it's okay. But I'm hoping that they feel empowered to make their struggles known and they're resolving it at the lowest level, teacher level or building level. Any questions for me in terms of how we're spending our efforts and our focus?
We asked for this and kept on going.
Yeah.
It's just building on building on building.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And we're starting to see the benefits and things.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get test scores and the kids are happy and just like you said, parents. And yeah, so.
So that, this report is an action item.
Yeah, I think it's
It's on page.
41, right?
Yep.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves the integrated plan as presented by Mr. Stevens.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any more discussions? Good. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, the next section of your action items have all to deal with OSBA. And so with this, you are more than welcome to, I mean, as a board, you can decide what you want to do. You can decide to go ahead and vote on or nominate candidates, select people, or you can say, no, thank you. We choose not to participate in this, or some combination. Yes, we want to participate in this. No, we don't want to participate in that. You're not required to. So I do have some updated information for you about OSBA dues. I know that that's an amendment. That's resolution 9.5. I can just share with you what we pay now.
It seemed to make sense.
Yeah.
That they would be increasing. Yeah. And I mean, wow, that we were, yeah.
The lowest one.
So I mean, it does make sense. On that one.
On that one, let's see, where is it? 9.5. Dues, here it is. Okay, so I asked Karen to pull up what we paid, what we're supposed to pay. Our dues would be what we've been paying are $1,420. So our dues would go up to $2,500. So they're going to go up $1,100. Now that's a big increase, and I'm not. So as I said to Karen today, so this is what happens when you don't raise your rate since 1998. Like you. It's a wonder that you're even able to continue to function.
Yeah.
And so, no, it's unfortunate that.
Okay, so on that one then, where is the pay, like, do we do a motion where cause like it has like a resolution and I was confused by those a little bit.
So on page 64 is the language for the resolution, to approve the resolution as presented for the dues.
Is that something that he has to read?
He doesn't have to read the whole thing.
Okay, that's
He
where
can
my-
say, you don't have to read the whole thing on any of this. You can just say as presented to us. So probably starting with the first one, 9.3, the candidates, which it starts on page 52, and this is what Linda Hamilton was speaking to
Right.
when she gave public comment. And so you have the candidates that were in the packet. It looks like you've got
Ashley,
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, and Merle. We just have those three.
You had 3.
Are they all going against each other?
They're all going for position
Just
12.
one?
11.
12. 12.
There was
I know,
one
that's,
for-
that was the
Oh,
only thing
yeah.
I was wondering was
Yeah,
that.
unless one of you wants to nominate her
Oh.
partner
I can
next.
nominate
Wait,
somebody.
We will not be doing that.
The board of directors for the OSBA. Come on, Henry, you want one more thing?
If you have no one to nominate, then I would
Pass.
say, pass for 11. When I go into their website tomorrow and enter your vote.
Is that, we,
You could just say we've chosen not to nominate any kind of candidate for that
yeah, we,
position.
yeah, I have not.
And you don't even have to vote on that. You can just say, we're not doing it.
Yeah, we're
Go
not
to the
doing
next action item.
I mean, well, I
Huh?
don't just,
No,
I
no,
don't want
I'm
to.
done.
You
No,
guys.
no,
Yeah, I don't know enough about any of them
No.
to make an
no.
informed decision.
Other than what the lady said. but-
Oh, no, that was the first one. We haven't hit that. This is the next one for these candidates. The first one was if we want to nominate one of us.
Oh, sorry.
we were
Okay.
for
Yeah, well,
director. Yeah.
Got
Oh.
it. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
So position 12 starts on page 53.
And we choose not to. We choose not to.
we're choosing not to. So we
I just
have
don't
to
know
do
enough
anything,
about
right?
them.
Yes.
Well,
Make-
So we're-
no,
So
on
do
the first one, it's on page 53. We are not doing it in terms of any of us going. So we don't need to do anything, right? We can skip to the
That's-
next one. The
Yeah,
next
that's
one would be
52. So
That-
53 would be the one for position 12. which what these
the three
ones are.
candidates.
The three candidates. We are not nominating,
That depends on you guys if you want to.
no, that's what I'm asking. right now. Are we, or no, I see. Hey, we have to do it as a group, yes?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
have to
So
all,
we don't
yeah.
have to agree to one person or no. So,
Yeah, that's
so that's not, we're not agreeing to nominate anybody, are we? Or do you guys are you wanting to nominate this gentleman of who the lady?
No, that's what I'm asking the rest of the group.
Well, before I heard that lady, when I was reviewing the three, he was the one I would have said yes to.
And I am definitely okay with doing that as well for Jeffrey because I think it was, that shows me that he has support. So I'm okay with that. But I have obviously
Yeah.
with the rest of the board because we don't.
Yeah, not everybody's in. We don't have to.
I have no opinion. I'm good with whatever, that's, you guys want to put our name in there, say that we did something good, nominated this gentleman from Dayton.
I am fine with, I mean, I appreciated if someone came on, but I just don't know enough about them, but I don't mind. If the two of you are fine with it, I am totally good with going that direction.
Yeah, so if you would like to do the motion.
So you want me to do the motion?
If you're,
Yeah, well, sure, I would love to.
It's on 50.
I move that the Jervis School District, number one, Board of Directors nominate Jeffrey Crapper for OSBA Policy Committee, position 12 for the Marion region.
We have a motion.
second,
And second, all in favor?
I,
Do well, Jeffrey, do well.
okay, so then you have your first resolution on page 64 that deals with the dues issue.
okay, that one we're good to go. So can I make a motion? I move that the Jervis School District number one Board of Directors approves to amend the OSBA dues schedule as shown on agenda item 11-24.9.5.
We have a motion. We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Your second resolution starts on page 67.
Yeah, I have a couple questions on this.
Oh.
Do we have, okay, so we already have the Pride Caucus that is already with OSBA. Do we, right? Is that, this is already done and they're trying to change the bylaws to have amendments on them?
No, they're creating the Pride Caucus.
Oh, they're creating it.
And at the same time, they're also, not the same time, but in a separate resolution, then they're adjusting some of their bylaws. Not necessarily for just this caucus, but there's some minor changes that like rewording some things that don't have anything to do with establishing this caucus.
Okay, so I thought it was already established.
No, it's a committee, but they're looking at going into, they're ready to elect officers and their leadership assembly.
Yeah, kind of
So they're
sounds,
making it more formal.
yeah, kind of sounds like to me that that's already,
Well, they've been doing work, I guess, yes. But now they want to be part of the actual OSBA. Because they have the
See, I interpreted it as they had their group,
Yeah,
they've been
me too.
officially meeting,
That's what I
and
thought.
now they want an official spot on the board
Okay.
just for this.
That's how I
group.
took it.
And they're
That's
changing the, instead of a committee, it's called caucus now.
well, my personal opinion is, do we have a BIPOC? Do we have those other kind too in there? I just don't understand why we would, because, we're trying to champion for all children and all things. So for me, I'm going to abstain. If you guys want to do anything or make a motion, I just want you to know my personal opinion on that.
Well, that's what I didn't understand, because technically,
That's what
running
we're all,
for any position on the board, it should be equitable. So
Right.
anyone from any group, any ethnicity should be able to apply for that position. So when we start focusing in on a specific group, then you better be opening it up to every group, because otherwise then you are becoming discriminatory.
which is why I don't agree and abstain from this.
Ditto.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, so right now, if you want to, so they're trying to carve out something on the board that would be, because they don't have that, because they have the colored caucus one now.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have anything on the board specific for them, do they? So that color caucus that they all, when you go to OSBA, hit you up and things like that, do they have a special seat for them on the board?
I don't think so. I don't think they're, but if
So,
they sit, they might be there as an advisory member, but not a voting member.
so then, yeah, so they're asking for something special, different.
I mean,
And
perhaps
then
the
we-
feedback you could give to OSBA is maybe they should do a better job of explaining the organizational structure of what they're trying to do.
Right, because you're right. If they're trying to carve out a seat just for one particular group, that's not what it should be.
No.
Right?
Right, and you're exactly correct. We are not here to, everybody has that opportunity
Yes,
to,
if you want to be on the state, on this,
And if you want to, run for a board position, it's
You go through the normal
open,
process that everybody else goes
Up
through.
to everyone,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think it's unnecessary, and I don't think that we need to have resource time and all the rest of it with that.
so we can just,
Can we just skip it then?
Yeah.
We don't even have to
You
do
don't have to
anything,
do
right?
anything with it.
oh, we don't have to vote
You
on
could
it.
just
No.
elect to not participate.
We're
not
electing not
doing
to
that.
participate.
Well, we could
Well,
just-
I mean, for
well,
me,
or we just
well,
say
we could
we're
just
against
say that we're against it.
You could.
I
do
think
that
that would be
then.
the best thing to do, is
I-
to say that potentially.
I don't think we've ever done this before in terms of this particular, so I'm not quite sure how I would even do
I
that.
think what you could say, you could discuss creating an action item where you said something like, the Jervis School District Board of Directors is choosing to not participate in this vote because we don't believe that there's been enough communication with regard to what is going on with the structure of OSBA
Right,
and your leadership model.
Yes, and that everybody has an equal opportunity to run for a board position,
right,
or should have it.
right. They can't just carve out ones
Correct.
for
Okay,
certain groups.
can we get that then should I make that motion now, or are we gonna do that, table it, write that, and then do that for the next meeting?
You mean,
You have to have your vote in by
By
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Oh,
So
so like
We will
we
do it.
They
The
will do it
turnaround
right
was,
now.
here you go.
Yeah.
So that was
And
like.
so,
yeah,
and
it
so
was-
what you could do is if you kind of liked what I said,
Yeah, I'm trying to write it real quick.
you could have Sandra, read it back maybe, or I could say it again. And then Sandra will just type that up and
And I'm not even sure if we're able to, if it has, so typically you just do the voting or not, or pass. You don't recall that they have any like boxes.
If it's a no, we say no.
Right.
but I think,
But I mean, there's enough people out there that were able to express.
yeah, I
our
think we just can
support.
email
Why
a statement
can't-
to them.
What was that? You're gonna email a statement to them? Is that what you?
I said we could email a statement.
Yeah,
to them.
because
what I
what
was
in
just-
here, it does say discussion, so you can put it right in there, can't you? And then you're just abstain.
I can.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that the way to do it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way I would go about
You
it.
could say abstain and
And discussion, and put it in why. So that's how I would respond back to them, I guess.
Okay. And then I'll just, whatever Danny said, I'll just make sure that I grab that and
That you
send
put
it
it-
off
That
to
we put it in discussion there.
whoever, I got the resolutions from.
So this just came about,
Yeah, it was
really
this-
fast.
So we were working on the board packet, and I think you were the one that
Yeah, I'm like,
said, did you get this? I'm like, yeah.
I mean,
And
that's
again,
what,
that just shows you that like they don't
There.
truly want discussion or thought about it, like just do it. And it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
no, we need time to process it and think it through.
and ask questions,
Yeah.
then we can go back and ask questions to bring back the answers to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
And know who it all affects.
and
I
that
guess my-
was my concern, because I did see that as being the next day, and I was aware of that, or
So
whatever.
yeah,
I
it
guess
was
my
just-
question though comes back to then if we abstain and there's enough people for it and it passes. I mean, so now I'm gonna,
Yeah, no, okay.
I think
I
we
think
need to look
should
at
have
it
a
from that.
vote for
I think we should have a vote.
I-
against it, Yeah.
What I
And then we
chose-
can, and then in the discussion, we can put like,
Why?
there was some
Yes.
concern about lack of
Uh-huh.
proper
Communication.
notification, lack of ability to ask questions
Yeah.
and get answers so that you could have an informed discussion.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so we're voting no.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so make the motion.
I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors disapproves of creating, is against creating the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus and designated seat on the OSBA Board of Directors.
would you do it that way or just read it and then we would just,
Oh, vote no.
vote no? And
I mean,
then put in the discussion.
Honestly, we've never done it.
Yeah, I was gonna say
You know,
that.
it's crazy.
Yeah, so, yeah, you would read.
You read
read
that,
the
Read it as
motion,
it is.
and then you would, and then when
Against
you
it.
call for the vote,
we'd all vote how we're feeling, and then there would be, and then in the notes, Sandra put in.
Wait, but how-
we discussed.
But how does that work when I?
Yeah,
move?
because if you're moving it and you're saying yes, and then second, yes, and
But
then
then you
all
call
in
for the
favor.
So
Yeah, it makes no
Done.
sense. Makes no sense.
Okay.
I mean, it makes no sense, but is that the way we need to
yes.
do it? Then
It's
let's
It's like
do
a
it.
ballot, right?
All right,
Yeah.
then move that, I move that the Jervis School District #1 Board of Directors approves creating the Oregon School Board Members Pride Caucus and designate a seat on the OSBA Board of Directors and Legislative Policy Committee as shown on agenda item 11-24-9.6.
So I have a motion.
So a second now?
Now I need a second.
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Nay.
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 And
Yeah,
then-
we do it.
Good.
And then we just note that the discussions would be
Right.
put in our notes.
Your concerns.
Yeah, perfect.
So just for making sure we're cleaning up everything, you had made a motion to, what was the first motion she made on this resolution?
Do not approve.
To not approve. So you would, Henry, because you didn't get a second, then that motion is dead.
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need to do something for that?
No,
No,
we've
okay.
acknowledged it publicly.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Good job. This is all recorded.
It
Yes.
is.
And it's
Yes.
very, well, it's very
It is.
complicated.
Okay, so your next resolution 9.7 has to do with adopting the proposed amendments to the bylaws. So if you look at that, it starts on page.
Oh.
So the
this is
language is page 78, and so then you can see, you go to page 79, there's the proposed language, anything in red is new language, and then they give you a description on the far right, like what's changed. So for instance, in the first one, or it has, or OSBA in red, it describes it as
Yeah.
substantive change. So.
I'm hearing that.
This once again.
And again, because of the lack of
You can't,
time,
yeah, you can't approve it again. I mean,
you could just say, we're gonna vote however you're gonna vote, because you've not had sufficient time to review and ask questions. Because we got this one the same time, right?
Right, we
Yeah.
got the whole shebang,
Yeah,
like on the,
because right there
I
on
think
page
it was after
80,
the convention. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they were just waiting to press the button here.
I mean, because right there it's associated with the last.
Yeah.
one. I mean,
Yeah.
adding one designated director is defined by the bylaws of Oregon School Board Pride Cock. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so do the same thing as we did. All right. I move that the Jervis School District number 1 Board of Directors approves to adopt the proposed amendment to the bylaws as shown on agenda item 11-24-9.7.
So we have a motion.
There's a second.
Second,
We have a second. No more discussions? All in favor?
Nay.
Nay. Against. Wow. So I don't know how many times I've ever had to do it twice that I've said nay on these.
There's time for everything.
Sounds like.
And these were just the first on the policies. Those were just.
Yeah,
the
this is first
read.
reading, so just two, I mean, they're pretty basic in terms of what you have the ability to change, so.
Yeah, like,
That was only,
I think
Yeah.
it's almost-
What I'm gonna do at the January work well, for the December meeting, these will go to second reading. But, and then at the December meeting, you're gonna get a whole slew of policies for first reading. So I'll set aside time at the January work session for questions and things like that.
okay, because I have a couple things
Yeah.
to say about this.
Oh,
on their footnotes.
Okay. You wanna bring it up now? 'Cause it's
yeah,
first
might as
reading.
well.
Well, I don't understand,
Which page? Which one? Sorry.
on page 92,
Okay,
there's that little footnote down here on 2 where it says provides discrimination on the basis of sex includes discrimination on the basis of sex stereotypes, sex characteristics, pregnancy or related conditions, sexual orientation, and gender identity. And that sex stereotype seems really strange to me. Just as odd to me as the, where's the other one? Because I don't really understand what that means.
okay. We can get a clarification on that.
Yeah, on number 1 too, which includes discriminatory use of a Native American mascot.
Where are we at?
That's
still
on
on the same
number-
page.
Oh,
Number
sorry.
one.
Oh,
I saw that
Pursuant
too.
to OAR, and then race also includes physical characteristics that are historically associated with race, including but not limited to natural hair, hair texture, hair type, and protective hairstyles as defined. I find both of these, I feel like we need some discussion, but it sounds to me like there's not anything that we can really do on these policies when they are.
Right.
changing.
I mean,
That's
they-
already in there. It
Right.
has been.
right.
Except for I hadn't seen this other one on the sex stereotypes. I just, they're trying to be so inclusive that it gets really, really convoluted. And it just, that's just me putting that out there. I know there's nothing we can do about it. But it is something that, I do want to point out.
I think so. For an example, if you think about a mascot and the stereotype use of characteristics of a Native American, if you think about, there used to be a mascot in a professional league that had a Native American portrayed with really large features, like a large nose, large lips, with the head, and so that would be considered, like that's not allowed anymore. That mascot's not allowed because it's seen as offensive that you're enlarging only certain components of a person's features to identify them.
No, and I get that. I mean,
Yeah.
we all know the football team that,
Mhm.
where you had to, we understand that. It's just, I think it's so, there's just, you go above and beyond when I read the first paragraph and I'm like, okay, that pretty much includes everybody. I mean, I'm not going,
Mhm.
treat others the way you want to be treated. Come on, people.
So we can get some clarification from the attorney just about like some additional language or.
Well, I mean, there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just want to point that
Yeah,
out.
let's put it beyond the
It's
record.
just-
Okay.
It's just more runaway crazy bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
all right.
Okay, so those are those two policies. Let's get a bond project update. So exciting times, right? So we had, this is this phase, it's called, we're at the rubber band, the architect calls it, we're stretching the rubber band out to maximum stretch, which is everybody's dreaming really big. And now it's gonna snap back into reality. And hopefully it doesn't snap you on your arms, whatever. So we're having lots of great conversations and ideas, and it's great that they're able to talk with architects and dream big, and
Always good.
and so whatever they end up with will be lovely and better than what they have now. So anyway, it'll be exciting once we get the RFP published for the construction manager. That'll get things really hopping and rolling. We're going to have in the December newsletter, just a 2-pager insert that in the newsletter gets mailed to every voter household, explaining an update and like, why don't they see the brand new middle school almost ready to be open right now? What's going on? Do you guys have any questions about where we're at?
And do you want to talk a little bit about what Rebecca, the back page of design, that how many times you guys have said already? Because I can't remember that. I just remember what she said. She went over this page.
Oh, yeah, the
Okay.
last page of the packet that has the color coded, the pre-design phase work plan. So like yesterday, I was in the middle school and district pre-design work. I was like 6 hours. I was 6 hours. And so basically it, like with the elementary school, they set out the plans, they mark the areas that are going to get remodeled or like in the middle school built. And then they're sketching and getting design, just ideas, a framework, not we want to plug in here and a light fixture there. We're not to that level of detail, right? Like, Diana, tell us, how could the buses work through this area? What would that look like? And so each group will have a total of 4 or 5 meetings, depending on what is being planned. So the middle school has the most planning sessions because they're getting part of a whole new school. So that includes site visits. Once we get, so the pre-design work is all about them figuring out what it is that we want, and then they'll start pricing it out generally, and then we'll decide, yeah, that would be nice to have, but we can't afford that, so let's get real. That's the rubber band coming back together. And so, I am so thankful we have these people to help. I can't imagine trying to coordinate all of this.
No. Yeah.
No.
No.
I
You'd be
don't-
retiring tomorrow.
I don't even
That's
know.
what I was, that's why she keeps talking about it.
Yeah, I don't even know how people do this before they hired project managers.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
No.
So, anyway, it's exciting
Mhm.
and a lot of work. But it will be worth it, for sure. Okay, let's talk, I need somebody to add a discussion item. Oh, maybe let's go to our evaluation process. That's 10.3.1. That's for discussion. What do you want to do for my evaluation? Do I bring her in with a full survey?
Well,
Krista,
no.
what
I
is
don't
her
really
name? Krista Miles, sorry.
I don't think
we need to spend money on the full.
I don't think we do either.
Package around.
So we've been building upon that for what, 3 years?
No,
No.
this will be my sixth
Sixth.
evaluation.
No. Yeah. That's plenty.
No, but how many years have we had the surveys?
6 years.
Yeah.
We,
Every
Because we
year?
started it when we hired her,
Oh, okay, then, yeah, no.
because we wanted to make for sure the change was.
Okay.
Cause I don't think that,
So, poor Danny's been busy.
yeah, let's just stop.
Let's just
that.
bring her in just to, do our facilitate, right? Is that what we're gonna do?
yeah, she
Okay.
can, so she can give you, well, we can get the evaluation packet like you do and you
Yes, uh-huh.
each standard and you
Yeah.
fill it out. And then she'll help you synthesize it.
Yes, that's
I
what,
will say that's
that's
worth the
helpful.
money.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry, I mean, to me, that's worth it.
That's worth the money on that.
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Let's not do the survey.
Okay.
Let's just do that because
Uh-huh.
then she just puts it in 3 sentences and it's so much
That's
easier for
perfect.
us than
Yes.
trying to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if that's
Thank
cool
you.
with you, then that's
Good with
I
me.
think where
Yep.
we're gonna go.
Okay,
Perfect.
Yeah?
Perfect.
all right. And then I need somebody to make a motion to add this discussion item for the Jervis Elementary School wish list.
With the Jervis
Is
School
there
District
something-
number 1 as a discussion item for the Jervis Elementary School after-school clubs proposal.
So we have a motion.
Second.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
So Dusty sent this today at like 4:30. Dude, you're killing me.
But you're cool with that, right?
I
But
am.
we talked about this
we
though at
did.
the last one.
We
because
did.
We talked
I
about
just-
that next.
I
one.
wanted to be able to
Yeah.
have an actual budget number for,
Oh.
where we can take this money from. And I don't know what, I gotta talk to Karen. So, if, what I can do is get with Karen. I mean, we have a holiday next week. She's taking time off. I'm taking time off. So we can get it ready for your December meeting as an action item.
Oh,
And we'll identify the budget item where it's gonna come from.
Wouldn't it just come from the?
Well, I might have money in SIA that we can use.
Okay.
I just have to get with her to see. If not, then you can say, let's take it as a special allocation of Frontier Charter.
Yep.
So I guess my only question to that would be, did all of the schools lose funding for their programs?
K8 was for Latinx and Tony, didn't really use that much money for it. But I did have enough money in SIA to pay for some of her after school tutoring. So it's, and then I also gave them $1,000 for books. So that's kind of,
Okay.
they're kind of got a different pot of money that they're able to tap into, and 912 didn't have Latinx, so.
Okay. Good.
And does the middle school also, I mean, they have the after school, the sports too, right?
Yeah.
Or after school.
Yeah.
and The grade school doesn't.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
another.
100%. Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we'll get to work on that.
Perfect.
Okay.
Find some more money.
I think we are. And then you guys are working out something for the football team and things there as far as them. Is that for this year's coming for
We
their?
won't be able to
Get anything this year, it'd be for the following.
Yeah.
But can we have someone donate a portable heater?
I don't know.
Well, also, I should have told Dusty, if you need to get them gloves, I will be more than happy to throw money in the pot for that, for sure. Because that was maddening, them dropping that ball
Yeah.
so many darn times last Friday. It
I
was a
think
fumble like 4 times.
They did.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
In
It
the
was
last
so
part.
cold.
I think my son came home from the game. He's like, it was so cold.
Yeah.
I was
And it's
freezing.
gonna be cold this go around.
Yeah.
But they are
And-
in the day, they're at 4:30.
But it's supposed to be rainy too, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna not be good. And there's no time, tomorrow's Friday. There's no time.
No, I guess. you're
Yeah.
right. That is for tomorrow, but the gloves.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Overnight, Amazon.
All right, okay.
All right, we're done. Thank you. Thank you all. Good job.